Hey, what up, bro? This is your boy Ian. Welcome to Hacking the System, the show where we show you how to make six figures in your 20s. And today you can see we're in a totally different environment. I'm here with my boy Drew.
What's up? What's up, man?
So me and Drew go way back.
Yep.
You know, so I'm glad to be here. And today's gonna be a special show where we'll show you how to hack the system in a totally different way using YouTube and your own business. Hey, what up, bro? This is your boy, the Made Man. Welcome to Hacking the System, the show where I teach you how to make six figures by any means necessary while you're still young. Create the lifestyle of your dreams and hustle to greatness. Alright, Drew, so I want you to tell us about yourself.
Well, you know, I'm a young guy originally from the East Coast, DC, that's where we first met. I started a rap coaching company about...
Wait. A rap coaching company?
Yeah.
Do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
A rap coaching company.
Yes.
Alright, go on.
Okay, so so basically rap coaching is, you know, where I'll shoot videos and I'll explain the ins and outs of how to, you know, flow, rhyme, like the best rappers, you know, in the game. So first started with it was like how to rap like Eminem, and then I would go through, you know, notice his multi-syllable rhymes, notice his intonation, all of that. And then, you know, over time, once we had some following, I was able to go to more like life advice, almost like, you know, how to set up your schedule so that you're recording at an efficient level, etc.
So you're basically getting people who have this goal or dream of being a rapper and coaching them. Being that mentor who guides them towards that journey.
Exactly. And, you know, me being a guy that's been rapping 15 years and that, you know, seen some success in the industry, it was something I think needed to be done. You know, you can learn how to play guitar online, you can learn how to sing online, you can find all kind of stuff.
So where did that idea of turning rapping or being a rap coach into a business?
Well, honestly, the truth is I was ghostwriting for a guy who his business was basically teaching people how to start their own YouTube business. And this was back in like 2014. So this was in an era in which it was kind of the wild, wild west for YouTube. You know, it wasn't like now where like, if you're like, I want to be a YouTuber, like it's kind of...
Now it's kind of blown up.
Yeah, blown up. So back then he was pretty much like, all right, well, what I'll do is you ghostwrite for me. I can't pay you that much because I was a college student, but I'll show you how to make this business coaching people on YouTube. Just tell me something that you're really good at. And I was like, I don't know, rap? And he's like, okay, you're a genius.
Let's do it.
You're a genius, Johnson. You know, so yeah. And that's basically how it started. I would love to say that there was, you know, like I saw in the stars that, you know, I was like, and the final frontier for music education is rap. You know, it wasn't like that. But I was aware that people needed to know this information and nobody really had it at the time until... Right. There were a couple guys doing it, but... Okay,
so let's kind of step back. You mentioned you've been rapping or being a rapper artist for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Take us through that journey.
Well, so I grew up, I'm 29 now, and I grew up in the late 90s when rap was very musical, and this is the height of Jay-Z, Nas, DMX, Tupac, all of that.
Right.
So it was just an era in which, you know, you wanted... If you wanted to be, like, everyone has to be an entrepreneur now. You know, that's kind of like the cool thing now.
Entrepreneur, as they say.
Entrepreneur, exactly. You know, but back then, everyone wanted to be a rapper. I mean, still sometimes now as well. But I started writing raps, just sort of idolizing these guys like Eminem, Jay-Z. And I think in hindsight, it kind of gave me acceptance. You know, I'm a skinny kid. It wasn't like I was like tearing them up on the court or nothing like that. But it was a way to get girls. You know, it's a way that people really admire you no matter what their demographic is. Like if a person, I don't know if we can curse, if a person can freestyle, like people are gonna like give me props. So I started doing that. I was a rapper all the way into college. Started doing shows, traveling a little bit. Then I joined a band. So that was right around the time I met you, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I was about 21.
I was back in college too, I think. Right?
Yeah, still in college.
We go way back, I told you.
Yeah, I mean, it's real. So
back to when I was broke too.
Yeah, exactly. This is the origin story, people. So yeah, I was in this band, and I was the rapper. So around this time, I learned how to play guitar.
I mean, so was there any ultimate vision back then? Were you trying to blow up? Were you on the come up? Did you have any goals?
I mean, honestly, definitely I wanted to be, Hove. I wanted to be what Drake is now or whatever.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily exactly where I ended up, but I think that where I'm at now has so much more potential. So like the way I like to say it at 29 is like, I'm old in rap years, I'm young in business years. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, as far as the band, it had its thing. Then I kind of moved on and started building life. But I was always rapping. I was always doing freestyles. I was always doing songs. I'm sure back in the day, I'm probably freestyling a lot when we were out, hanging out.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a gift. I mean, I was fortunate in that regard. That just the right time, right place. I've been doing this thing for a while. This thing called YouTube comes out. There's a platform, and it's a niche that just isn't being spoken to. So.
Right. So you mentioned earlier that you didn't really see YouTube as a viable channel to go to until this guy you were working with kind of told you, hey, why don't you try YouTube?
Yeah.
Right? Was there a reason for that, or were you just thinking about something totally different? So I mean, like, why YouTube?
Well, I think. Now, truth be told, I'd done a couple training videos on like how to do guitar. So I'd done some YouTube, like how to solo, like, a rock star. So I'd done a couple. And so I think maybe I was aware that it was possible, but it wasn't that I was avoiding it. It was just, I had not made the business connection. Because like I said, in 2014, like the idea of starting a business and doing a YouTube channel is kind of foreign. It wasn't like it is now, where everybody's got a fucking YouTube channel. Everyone's got a YouTube channel. Editing.
All right, so for people at home, can you give us some metrics in terms of the growth of your channel?
Yeah.
Right now? Because I think you recently just had a new achievement, right?
Yeah, I just broke 100K. So
100,000 subs?
Yeah, 100,000 subs. Well, the way it works is, and we were kind of talking about this earlier before we shot the interview, is you get a viral video and that will expand your number of subs. When I was first starting, it probably took me 2 months to get 1,000 subs. And that's partially just I didn't have the equipment up, the editing wasn't there, I wasn't as comfortable. This was also in 2014 where just less people were on YouTube. There wasn't a YouTube phone app back then.
Right.
So then it took me only maybe 3 months to get to 10,000.
Wow, okay.
So I was able
That's still pretty fast though.
Yeah. What I was doing was doing these videos based on, how to rap like Drake, how to rap like Eminem. So I was pretty ruthless about,
So kind of riding that wave, that trend.
Yeah, riding trends. And then, what really happens is you hit a plateau for a while. So I would say, just trying to think of numbers to give folks, like, if you're not able to clear like 1,000 subs a month, it's going to be very hard to reach that 100K with any real speed. So I'm doing about 9,000 a month now. It fluctuates between 7 and 10, but let's say 8 to 9. And the more viral based material I do,
the faster that goes.
Yeah, but I mean that's for the people listening, it's like that's a personal decision. How much you're going to do it. How much are you going to do it just for the numbers?
Right.
How much are you going to build a great business?
Right, because one thing I kind of have issues with, me personally, also being a person online doing videos, is let's say you make a video like a fluffy cat. It gets like 2 billion views. Those views might not really be quality views, right? So how do you differentiate between quality views, people you want to work with long term, so basically customer lifetime value on the video? Okay. So how do you work with that?
I personally track that based on my other social media. Also how much I'm getting contacted directly. So for example, like, this is one thing we need to work on. I mean, I have 100,000 subs on YouTube, but like 5,000 on Instagram. So I've either got to find a better way to communicate the value that they'll want to search me out, or, but on the other hand, the people that on Instagram that hit me up, it's like 5 a day. Also things like being recognized, like I got recognized in person twice yesterday. Like in LA, so and they were all cool people, and they were just genuinely like one dude.
No creepers.
Yeah, no. One dude just started rapping like, "Yo, Drew, I'm sitting with my boy." I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, so I hope that's value.
Nice.
So things like that. How much can I trickle my audience to other avenues, whether it's in person, buying, obviously what they're buying, products, or other, social media.
All right, nice. So in terms of the growth and also marketing aspect of your business, how do you manage that as a business? Right, because it's right now having over 100K subs. It's not really just a YouTube channel. Now it's a form of business.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I do ads, of course, so I get a certain profit that way. But really, what I do is I have a paid mastermind. That's a pretty common business tactic, and I'll have monthly charges, and we'll do calls and lessons. But you'll be a member in a paid mastermind program, and in the videos, a lot of them, what I'll do is I'll be like, give them free content value. I'll be like,
Netflix model.
What's that?
Netflix model.
Yeah, exactly. Premium.
Right?
Yeah, so I'll do that, and then at the end I'll be like, now, if you're interested in coaching, go to check out my coaching class, and I'll just have a link in the video description box to a sales page with copy that I really spent a lot of time on. So it's sort of, for anybody who's trying to do paid mastermind work, I would suggest really spend a lot of time on your sales page. And in that way, because that's what's...
So, but basically the landing page?
Yeah, landing page. And, it has a sales video and etc. So I leave it at that, where in the video, if I do a really good video for you, and I just say, if you're interested in coaching, go check out the page, but the page itself is bomb.
Right.
In the video, it doesn't seem like I'm overselling you, but when you land where I want you to land, you're in. So that's kind of how I do that. I also have a couple of video courses. I want to do more, but I have flow right now and writer's block.
Right.
And one advantage there is if somebody asks you about these programs or about these problems, I can always just point them right there.
So at what point in time did you start to monetize or start having the mastermind, the different programs?
Trying to think. So the first thing I did was I built a free mastermind, and then it got big enough.
Was it early on?
This was early. This was within 2 or 3 months of the channel. When I had 500-600 subs or whatever it is, and I just was like, I reached out to people. I emailed them directly, like, yo, thanks for watching. Anyone who's subbed. I mean, this is when you have that small numbers, you can just literally do that. Or if you're running your own operation, you can just pay somebody to do it. Hit up each sub and ask them, to join. Also ask them what their issues are, so now you're basing your videos off of what the market wants and not what you think in your head, which is the biggest rookie move. 90% of people early on of entrepreneurs, they fuck up because they mess up. Sound like a rapper. They mess up because they do videos that they think that they want to see, but who knows if 1,000 or 100,000 people want to see it. I personally would love to make more Jay-Z videos, but the youngins don't really like
Jay-Z?
Not really.
They want something like...
Yeah, they want
or...
Yeah, Migos and all this, which I'm down with, but, anyway, started with that free thing, free mastermind, so that I'm able to see what they really want, what their issues are, and also so I can build some, not value, but sort of, chops, like stripes. I can say, well, I've coached 50 people, even though I coached 50 people free. I coach people...
I'm still coaching.
Right. I can legitimately say that I coached people in Europe just because I had a free Dutch 17-year-old, let me coach him. So I did that. Once there was enough interest and the group was good enough, I decided to make 2 different ones. So I was like, all right, anyone who's really serious, I'm taking it to the next level. We have this other group, which at the time was 17 a month, but I got, 5 or 6 people down. So then, once I knew, I was like, I know somebody will pay for my services, and rap coaching isn't as crazy as we think. Once I knew that,
wait, what? So that was a tipping point?
Yeah, at least mentally, emotionally, because the whole point before that, the idea of coaching somebody and somebody paying you to learn how to rap, unless you're Lil Wayne or somebody, just sounds ridiculous, right?
So was there a sweet spot in terms of the number of people in that group where you're like, okay, you know what, let me start charging for this now?
Good question. I think 20.
20?
Yeah. And I mean,
so the first 20 were the lucky ones, right?
Yeah, they were lucky. And unfortunately, you learn a lot in business, sometimes people don't respect free shit, and free stuff. So people don't respect, that free stuff. So, now I'm very cold-blooded about it. I'm like, Like
You have to, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and of course you still want to build a lot of value with free content like you're doing with your channel, like I do. But just being very aware of once you start to do coaching and your personal time and energy, you know, you really want to be like, it costs. It's better to charge more and have less clients because it's also emotionally tough. You know?
Man, yeah. Because I know the same thing kind of happened with me when I was doing my business on the side, right?
Right.
After a while, it kind of comes to a point where it's just better to charge more and have fewer clients, right? Because you're making the same money, but you have less clients, right? So less work in a way and more free time.
Right, exactly. And you're working with the higher, honestly, usually the higher the cost is, the better the client. Right. I'm not saying all rich people are awesome.
But good quality clients.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Kind of respect your craft.
Right, exactly. Because it's like, you know, you're going to eat a meal that you paid $1,000 for with a lot more, like, appreciate the chef's work than McDonald's, even if they taste relatively the same.
Right, yeah.
Terrible example, but you know what I'm saying.
All right, so let's kind of get into you as a person, right? So what hobbies do you have besides rapping?
I like to go out and get girls. Say it that way. Well, I play guitar. Big reader. You know, I love reading books.
What's your favorite book?
The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker.
Okay, it sounds pretty.
Yeah, it's heavy. Yeah, it's Bill Clinton's favorite book. So we have that.
What's it called? The Denial of Death.
Denial of Death. So it won the Pulitzer Prize in 1974. Basically, it's a psychoanalyst who found out he was going to have cancer, or he had cancer and he was going to die, and so he wrote this book, pretty much explaining all that he'd ever learned about death and sort of. It pretty much posits that all human behavior comes from fear of death. So. Uplifting reading, you know. I like the happy stuff.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's sick, and it's Bill Clinton's favorite book. Like I said, it's Pulitzer Prize, 1974. So it's good stuff.
All right. So this show is called Hacking the System.
Right.
Share with us your biggest life hack that you've come across.
My biggest life hack, I would say, well, I'll answer it in two parts. Like, there's one, like, what my unfair advantage as a person, which is sort of its own life hack. Of like, there's something that I do very well that nobody else can do, or not many people can do. So for me, in that case, it's like I can process complex information and see patterns pretty quick. I mean, that sounds like pretty much anyone who's intelligent. Something like learning how to rap. I can listen to like Eminem, Jay-Z, Nas, and just over time, I can just be like, all right, so this is the pattern. The same way learning.
That's the flaw, right?
Right, and that's the same with how I taught myself YouTube, SEO, keywords. Just seeing the patterns, I can learn the language of something pretty quick. But as far as a life hack, I would say the stuff I'm learning now, which is, you know, doing favors. The world is a world full of favors, you know? And that's something I'm just learning, which is like, you know, we're doing this interview, you know? And if I need something from you, you'll look out for me. And,
of course.
And, or if, you know, we're partying and there's a girl, and if I give you a hot girl, like, man, you're going to take my phone call, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is.
For sure.
Right. You know, so, I mean, trying to answer it in a cool way, but just value for anybody watching is...
Value for value. Right?
Yeah, value for value. And in fact, ideally a little bit more value than the person gave before. Right. And that's something I'm learning, you know what I mean? So... if you give me a 7.5 girl, I'm gonna get you an 8.5. You know? Sorry, I turned about them like they're cars.
I mean, so it kind of resembles Gary Vee's model of 51-49.
Yeah, no,
you're gonna give 51%, then you only take back 49%.
Yeah.
Or he has the notion of jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Same thing in business world.
Yeah, and I think that's really big. And you know, I think I was only able to quote unquote win on, you know, the rap coaching, because I did give so much value. You know, I gave 3 years of videos in something that most people are like, what is that? You know, so I feel like the value was there for somebody who to believe that they could really learn it.
Right, because I saw you from day one, and I just saw you blow up over time. Right?
Yeah.
Because there was no overnight success.
Not at all.
But I saw the process, right? That journey, step by step by step.
Yeah.
You're always there in the gym, you know. Oh, I guess for you, okay, sit out there in the booth, right? Rapping, writing stuff, you know. But just kind of seeing you step by step building your business.
Yeah, and I have to say,
very, very impressive.
Thanks, man. And I have to say, actually, shout out to Ian Bellina, because the reason I bought a DSLR is because before you started this show for a while, you were practicing building your own channel, and I remember you got like some really good lighting. You remember that? Yeah. I literally was like, oh man, I gotta get that kind of camera. Like, I don't even know what DSLR was. Nice. But like, you were a direct influence on that because I saw your videos and your interviews. I was like, man, I gotta step it up. So
nice, appreciate it. All right, so we're almost about to end the show.
Cool.
Give us kind of 3 life tips, and for people out there who whether they're trying to take their hobby, turn that into a business, or maybe they're trying to go on YouTube, right? What 3 life tips would you give them?
I'd say 1, like, build habits. Like, and I know that sounds cliche, but what I mean is you have to do something so long that your brain can turn off and be creative with it. You know, so me, when I started How to Rap, I did 30 videos in 30 days. The first, it was just the habit of a video a day, just to get through those 30, just so finally I could like make a joke in front of a camera. You know what I mean? Similarly with gym, girls, business, like we're talking about networking, and I'm starting to do it so much that it's becoming a habit. So, when you're in town, I just came back from LA, like just for this interview, you know what I mean? And I'm going back to LA tonight. But that's, that's of course, but that's a habit I had to develop. Me, 5 years ago, I would have been like, man, I'll catch you on the flip side. You know what I mean? But I realized I'm like, I'm in the habit of those connections. So that's 1, I would say. There's like, in life, there's what you like to do because society tells you it's cool, and then there's what you actually would love doing. So, don't become a rapper just because you like how to rap Drew. Like, you won't have the passion to do it long term. Do it because you're that kid like I was that memorized Eminem and Jay-Z, and like to this day I could probably quote the Blueprint, the entire thing. So don't get swept up in a wave, like you might even watch Hacking the System, see us doing it, and just be like, yeah, I want to be a businessman like Ian or like Drew. And you may not really want to necessarily, right. I mean, hopefully people watching this want that, but you know what I mean? Similar to me, if you had told me 5 years ago that I'd be coaching rap or that I'd be doing like business interviews, I would have, take a shot of whiskey and spit it in your face. Right. That's what I was doing. But here I am. So
it's kind of a personal path, right?
Yeah, be flexible enough to know, to not necessarily do something just because it's the new thing, Also, even with like things like Hacking the System, Ian has books coming out, and you work corporate. There may be somebody who can watch this and get the most value out of it by your Amazon business tips. You know what I mean? So they don't need to necessarily be like, I need to do everything Ian does. Find what really works for you and build it from there.
No, absolutely.
And then 3, I'd say travel. Just travel, period. And I know you know that, like, that's a life tip because...
Any places you recommend?
Well, right now, last place I really went was like Central Europe. So I'm big into that right now. Budapest. Really, if I was one place, I'd tell people to go to Berlin. Go to Berlin. It's artsy, it's young, it's clean, it's easy to get around, it's safe. Yeah. Most people speak English really well.
I'm actually planning a trip there this year, I think.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. We'll keep in touch on that as well. We chat about traveling all the time, so.
All right, well, I think that you dropped lots of game on us.
Thanks, man.
About getting your passion, your hobby that you were doing as a child and turn that into a viable business.
Yeah.
Now you have a business that's about to blow up, right?
Yeah.
100K, and I think you're definitely go up there, right? Maybe $1 million, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about that goal, and I think I see the vision that will happen.
Yeah.
It's just
keyword there, will happen. Right?
Yeah, it's like habits.
That's the attitude.
Right. Yeah, and I know how to do it because we literally just mentioned it.
The blueprint.
Yeah, right. So good stuff.
All right, man. I totally appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, always.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks for checking out the show. Make sure to give it a like, subscribe, drop a comment and review. Check out my website where I drop game every single week. Check me out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Let's go out there, make this money. Hustle to Greatness.